Cobble pavings, arched windows and stone facades conjure up images of a villa somewhere in Europe. But today, we find ourselves in sunny South Africa. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we visit a house that celebrates European-inspired architecture. Brought to life by its owner's skills in construction and interior design, it is a home that offers a lot to love. We'll also sit down with interior designer Tammy Holmes, who shares her take on farmhouse-inspired interiors. Born with the intention to showcase the skills of his construction business, owner Philip van Achtenberg has since built more than 30 masterpieces within the estate. He took some time to share this incredible project with us. Philip, you're in the business of constructing dream-worthy homes. Well, upon entry, my response was, wow. You get an overwhelming sense of almost a European-inspired style. Is that sort of the aesthetic that you were envisioning?
The driving in concept, everybody's comment is always, oh, this feels like Italy or Spain, with balconies from the top looking down into the court. I'm a rustic type of person, so you'll see the elements of the house. It actually consists of 3 different elements. The exterior of the house. The inside is a little bit more modern, classic, I would say. But the exterior has got some rock work, it has got unplastered walls, and it's got also plastered and bag walls with huge roof overhangs. But anyway, that was the idea, and I think the architect, Dani Strydom, he's also an artist, and I specifically like to go with him. He's done a house for me before, and because he's an artist, it makes it a little bit different, because he could picture it and he can actually sketch it to me instead of just computerize it. Wow. So we worked as a team together, and then my wife Liesel is interior, so it's a magic team to work together. And when me and the architect discussed it, and my wife Liesel, we had quite a lot of fun, because we said, let's do it in such a way that it looks like it's individual little buildings that was built in different times, but which it wasn't. And it's all linked up then with sections. So on this side, we got the main house, which is the entertainment and most of the bedrooms. And then we have the garages on the left and the right. They don't have any doors, but the idea is they're supposed to look like a barn. That's the kind of idea. Very high arches and all that.
I love the concept of different buildings with their own identity, but it sounds like the different materials played quite an important role here.
The rock work it's been mined not too far away from here, so it's natural to the area. But you'll find that the entrance where you came in and the entrance towards the house, it's completely done in rock, inside and outside. So it's honest. It's the real deal. It's not clad at halfway and then you can see whatever. So the idea was, this is a building, and the medias and the roof is the same as the entrance as you drive in. And then left and right, the 2, call it barns, garages. What we've done is we just laid it with a good stock brick and left it, we bag washed it and left it. So now I call it bleeding. So the rain is washing it down, and the bricks are starting to show, and it shows character. So you'll find that in any old building, and I was trying to create it, which I think we successfully did do. And then I would say the rest is plaster and painted as a normal South African, but rough plaster.
I have to say, this is a project on a pretty grand scale. Did you face any challenges?
Yeah, maybe time. Certain things like the rock work and all that is a real art. And you need the guys that has the eye to it, and you need to do it in such a way that you don't have a start-stop situation. So those challenges, yes, and the walls are thick. Some of the walls are 600 millimeters thick. The biggest challenge I would say we had is we got Seligna poles that carry the roof in certain areas, and you'll see they just slightly been etched on the side, so they're sort of square. But it gives you that very old feel. But it's normal Seligna beams that you can buy in South Africa, which is special. You don't find that everywhere. And then if you get to who's going to put the roof up, that was another challenge between me and the roof carpenter, because we had to think out of the box.
I understand how important teamwork was here. I see that. Now, where we're standing right now, there are so many nooks and crannies that one can enter. Can you talk us through the layout and the format of the home?
All right, so it's a south entry house that you come from that side, specifically in the design, and then you'll get to the entrance from behind there, and then we go entrance and you look right through, and it's very specifically designed that you have a line all the way down over the pool, over the berm, and you see the golf course on that side. And then the garages, they are linked with decking all along and catwalks around the koi pond. So they link the whole house together.
As you enter the house, the cavernous space channels you towards the spectacular view, a garden that borrows from the landscape beyond. Wow, Philip, you have an incredible garden.
Yeah, thank you. If you look at the garden, it seems huge, but look, the stands in Blairthal is big stands, and what also helps that there's no adjacent stand next to the next one. There's always common ground, so that creates an illusion. But what I think we did and got right, we've got privacy on that side. There's an entertainment area, but we've got privacy. So if you having a meal or lunch on the patio, you're not encroaching on the golfers, and the golfers don't see you. But on this side, we wanted to see the golf course. So this is maybe where the illusion is, that it's huge, but it's not that big. I would call it a normal garden, but all that in the background there is golf course. And we wanted to integrate this rolling lawn effect into the golf course, which I think we did quite well. Yeah, and on the left as well, we got a natural dam, and we also landscaped it in such a way that you can, from a distance, even if you sit on any of the entertainment area spots, you can look at, we call it a little farm dam. And we've got a picnic spot there, and you can braai there under the trees and all that.
Yeah, that is quite atypical of estates, where sometimes privacy might be an issue, but plantation seems to be something that addresses that in this case.
Yeah, definitely. The theme in the beginning was to try and stick as much or anything that you plant new, indigenous, but it worked out in this estate that the building regulations, which is very cleverly planned, doesn't allow walls around the houses, so it doesn't give you that feel. So what did people do to create privacy? When you build, you push a berm, and then you start landscaping the berm, and you plant the berm, put trees in it, and coincidentally we've also learned that trees grow very quickly because of the drainage on berms. So it just worked out fantastically. So that is the theme of the estate. So it's berms, and that is how you get yourself private, with trees and shrubs.
Well, I see why it was strategically done, because it's perfect for this amazing entertainment area you have over here. The indoor-outdoor living is spectacular.
Yeah, so we've got most probably 1, 2, if I count quickly, 3, 4 entertainment areas. Every room or living space in the house or room has got a patio. So if you even standing at the top, you've got the incredible views over the golf course. And the golf course is right on my front door, but I'm not aware of the golfers except for this section, and also the way they're walking, coincidentally, is the direction of the play. So people don't look backwards, they go past, and then it's fun and you can see them, but the rest of it, 80%, is completely private.
Stay with us. After the break, I meet with Philip's wife, Liesel, who is responsible for the interior design of this home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're visiting a house that was born out of its owner's desire to showcase their construction and interior design businesses. 13 years later, and it's still the house they call home. I met with owner Philip van Achterberg, who shared his passion for construction with me. Now I'll take some time to sit down with his wife Liesel, who is an interior designer by trade and also responsible for the interior of this home.
Biggest house and the smallest puppy we've seen so far. she's his scale.
So Liesel, we know that the exterior has had some European influence, but how would you describe the interior?
So it is a modern, eclectic, modern classic type feel, not strictly tied to the architecture. And it also developed over time. I must be honest, it didn't look like this when we first moved in. Philip was quite taken aback because he did his job in building the home and getting it all ready, and I wasn't ready with the interiors. But I feel that you have to live in a place, and live in a home, and then kind of feel your way through to sort of sort out your interiors to the last little bit. So we had time, and the interiors developed into the modern sort of classic feel it is today.
So how did you navigate the harder elements of the home, the stone, the wood, and sort of make it all complement the interior design?
Well, right from the start, when we chose the hard finishes, like the tiling or the cladding and the wooden elements of the house, we had to keep in mind what will soften it, because you can't just have a lot of hard finishes and then it's a stark home, being a family home as well. So it was all about softening the hard finishes without being too old.
Philip placed quite great emphasis on teamwork for this project, and I'm curious to find out your involvement in the project. When do you step in and start doing your thing?
So the ideal point is right at the start. So we did do a planning session right in the beginning with the architect, but from there on we went as a company and we selected tiles and hard finishes, but with the interior in mind. So it is actually a very involved kind of job, and we have to work together quite closely as a team, and which we did for 15 months during the course of the project, not necessarily not having a disagreement or two, but I think we got to a great end result.
I have to say 15 months sounds like record time, but still looks like a labor of love. Yeah. So I have to ask you, this might be difficult for you to say, but which part of the home is your favorite?
It's difficult to answer because we enjoy our home in different areas, different days, different seasons. So this is where we are now, is definitely our best entertainment area. It's also lent itself to a lot of family gatherings. It can house our whole family, which is a big family, and we enjoy it down here with the garden on both sides, with the water. It's just a comfortable area for all. During winter and during our, sort of quiet family time, we enjoy our kitchen and our little TV room, and we just chill there and cozy up there. We have a lovely fire going during winter time. Otherwise, we upstairs on the outside patio, and then obviously our bedroom we do enjoy a lot with the view and the feeling of the bush coming through into our bedroom.
Liesel, scale and proportion aren't that easy to navigate all the time. And so in this instance, is the age-old go big or go home the most applicable here, or can you vary in size? How did you navigate that?
It's very difficult at first to sort of visualize yourself in a scale this size, proportion this size. So you have to bring in a big sofa, bring in a big table, a huge chandelier. You cannot be scared of your high ceilings with curtains. You've got to go all the way up, and don't create extra lines. But the answer lies in using those bigger scaled items combined with sort of more normal sized items in creating a cozy area. I don't want to sit 3 meters away from you when we are chatting. I want to be close, and we need to have a nice conversation closer together. So yes, but I would advise any viewer or anybody wanting to attempt their own interiors in a large-scale home and room that you cannot go with small items that will maybe fit better into a duplex home or an apartment. You need to have bespoke furniture made to size for your home. That is the way you should go. And that's not always easy to find in a ready-made version. So yes, take your time and get, a floor plan always works best. Getting a floor plan going right from the start, putting the furniture out to scale on a floor plan gives you that confidence, it gives you that reassurance that you're on the right track.
I mean, no doubt this is an absolutely beautiful home, but the functionality that comes with it is brilliant.
Thank you very much. No, we enjoy it. We love cooking in both spaces. We love how it's working for us as a family, which we grew into, and now with grown-up children, it's actually working well as well. So we're very happy and proud of our home. Thank you.
Oh, you absolutely should be.
Thank you very much.
After the break, we visit interior designer Tammy Holmes, who gives us her take on a farmhouse-inspired interior. Owners Philip and Liesel van Achterberg created this house as a showcase to demonstrate Philip's construction company's skill. Now, 13 years later, it's still the house they call home. Inspired by the European farmhouse architecture, I'm visiting Tammy Holmes of Ivy Decor and Design to get her take on this comforting scheme. Right, Tam, so today we're talking about farmhouse style, and we've learned over the season that can be vintage, modern, traditional. In your eyes, how would you define the farmhouse style?
So my definition of farmhouse style is the type of home that you walk into and you just feel cozy and comfy, but it's still stylish. So yeah, the fabrics, the textures, the furniture pieces need to make you feel at home. So it's the type of home that your friends come over and they want to make themselves a cup of tea or a glass of wine and sit down on your couch and schlumpf. But I like to elevate the farmhouse style by bringing in some beautiful like pops of color, and then some slightly more modern finishes. So different sort of brass handles and light features that elevate it so that it's not farmhouse on a farm, you know?
Yeah, total. And I hear there are a few elements there, right? So we've got color,
yes,
we've got texture.
yes.
So let's break that down a little bit. And I know you've got a spread here for us. So
yes.
Can you just break down how color, patterns, textures combine together to create the style?
For sure. So I personally love a natural fiber rug or carpet in bedrooms and even in lounges. So I tend to go for like the thick weave sisals and the hemps. They're hyperallergenic, they bring such a warmth to a room, and they last for years. So people always think that they're tricky to keep clean, but actually you don't really see the dirt, which is really, really great, especially in busy homes. So I start with my texture from the ground up. And then I love to use linens, especially your sort of thicker linens. And I always say that the curtains and the blinds, if you spend a little bit more on your fabrics there, it creates such a great feel that you can then, you know, maybe bring in a slightly less expensive fabrics on your beds, you know, in scatters and whatever, your finishing touches. But those big pieces of fabric need to be proper quality because that definitely sets the tone. And then in terms of color, so I'm working on a scheme at the moment, and in the different rooms, you'll see here, I've got like this room is very blue, this room has got some neutrals, some sort of putties and reds and greens. And then, you know, I've got a playroom that's got pinks and, you know, pops of green. So my take on color is just, I want a space to feel calm, but it needs to have personality. I want it to be interesting so that every time you go in there, you notice something different. And so I try bring in different elements and different patterns. You'll see here, I've got lots of different patterns. and together it all makes a very interesting, layered, textured space.
Yeah, I have to say, I love how almost eclectic this looks.
Exactly.
But where do you start and how do you build up from there?
So I love to find like the signature fabric that's going to sort of be the hero piece of the room, and then I build from there. So you'll see here, there's lots of different patterns, but this fabric was my hero piece, and I then start putting together the scheme and building from there, and I put in some and take out some, and what you land up with is a very cohesive sort of color palette with lots of textures and lots of different patterns, and you've kind of brought your hero piece to life. So what I do is I start with my hero piece fabric, and more often than not, I land up then moving onto the carpets or the flooring. Natural fiber rugs or natural fiber carpets are always my go-to. So I build from there, and then and then I integrate the linens. I start building up to incorporate that hero piece and make sure that it really pops and really stands out. And what you'll find is when doing it for yourself and at home is when you found your hero piece, it's quite easy to build on from that. It's difficult when you're putting a whole lot of random pieces of fabric together and you don't have anything anchoring it. So it's really important to find that piece and build up from there. And then what you'll find is that your lighting will come into that, and your handles, your ironmongery, and your paint color. So you can pull everything from that hero piece.
Well, because it's such a beautiful mashup of so many textures and styles, would you say this is a style that's appropriate for all sort of home sizes and room types? What's your opinion on that?
Definitely. I think people are afraid that of using bold fabrics and color in small spaces, but I think that that's exactly where you need to use them because it creates maximum impact. And again, I think I'm a big believer in a statement headboard, in a bedroom, big mirrors. So there are ways of using this style by, as I said, bringing in mirrors, bringing in a big feature headboard, and then everything else being quite neutral around it, that really works for a small space. And then in a bigger space, you would obviously just bring in more of the detail because it lends itself to that. So absolutely, I would say don't be afraid of color in a small space, especially dark colors. People think that it's going to make the room smaller. It actually doesn't do that. It opens the space up. And just play around with adding to your scheme from that base fabric.
Yeah, so it sounds like go crazy, but everything in moderation.
Correct, exactly.
That's it for this week's episode of Finest Homes.